Alrighty, we're back. Your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 503. We're recording live on February the 9th. Brianna, how are you?
Well, I forgot to put this on. Pretty good. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers did well. Tom Brady and company. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to think that the fact that it was a low scoring game for the Chiefs, that, our defense had something to do with it more than just our offense. So,
You mean the referees that were
but
on
yeah, it was
your
good.
defense? Yeah. Okay. Uh,
Oh yeah, those. hmm I'm
anyhow.
sure that led to all of the
Yeah, yeah.
the
Well,
stoppage
they
of
deserve
the
to win.
Chiefs.
They deserve to win. They definitely played better, but it should have been a lot closer. Let's just say that. Anyhow, um,
I agree. But, beggars like us Buccaneer fans won't be
anyhow,
choosers if we get a Super Bowl win.
football's done. Now we can turn our attention to baseball and all things location. So there you go.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's sunny today, so that's nice. It's not gray and which it was all last week. So we've had sun, which is good. It's starting to warm up. The groundhog said that we should have an early spring, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, things are looking up. We're Ontario here is easing restrictions on around COVID. Kids went back to school this week. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. All things continue moving in the right direction, and we can get back to some semblance of life as we knew it once before. So yeah,
Yes.
all good.
Fingers crossed
So
for that for sure.
yeah, so we've got a good show for you this week. Four stories that we wanted to cover. Before I jump into that, though, on our 500th episode, our big episode a few weeks ago, we mentioned that we have a new partner that is joined in with us here in helping get the word out or helping spread this podcast out. They're called AWAZ, AAWAZ.com. So you can check them out. If you're in India and you're listening to this, you can now subscribe to the podcast through their platform. So they're now carrying and distributing Location Weekly on the Awaz podcast network. So take a look at that, especially if you're in India. And yeah, they've got all kinds of great other podcasts on there too. So pretty cool network to check out. So I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah. Hello, India. We're so excited to be there. So
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, totally.
All right. So our first story this week actually is an acquisition story here. So Snap has acquired a New York City-based startup called StreetCred, and along with their team of four. So they're going to continue to work there on some mapping and location related products. And, throughout the podcast history here, we've reported on a lot of the location features that Snap has brought in. For example, last summer, I believe we talked about the Snap Map, which was added to Snapchat's location or navigation bar there, that use location. And now that product is reaching about 200 million users every single month. So obviously getting lots of adoption there. And then they've been adding other products, with their location data, such as local lenses, so we've talked about that sort of that geography specific AR to interact with physical locations, which is really cool. And just like a little bit of background on StreetCred, they had raised $1 million in seed funding from Bowery Capital and Notation Capital. So the existing platform is going to be shut down as part of the deal, and they'll be rolling everything into Snap. But these the co-founders there have a lot of mapping experience, and I thought it was very interesting that Meech was actually formerly CEO at Samsung's open mapping subsidiary called Mapsen. And then he also was SVP of some local and mapping products at AOL, which was, now Verizon Media. So, and also I think hopefully I'm not butchering the name, but I'm going to butcher the name. Shkolnikov is the former engineering director at Mapson as well. So obviously these two met at Mapson. They had a lot in common and continue to work together and start this new StreetCred company that now has been acquired by Snap. So, they'll stay on for a little bit, work on some things. I would be surprised if they stay there. It looks like they're kind of a little more entrepreneurial and have been, at bigger companies in leadership as well. But this is, it's good to see stories like this still coming out, right? With everything that's happening with location data. I think that Snap has proves that when you have some type of value that you provide to the end consumer, the consumer is willing to share their location with you. And for these consumers, that value sometimes is like a silly lens or, something that says like where you are, whether that's city or actual like and so I think that interesting is as we've seen this decline happen where precise location is just being ripped out and not being able to be used a lot of times if there's no clear value proposition to the end consumer. We're seeing companies thrive still using this level of data like Snap because they're providing something that consumers want and they're willing to share their their information for it. So I think that it's interesting and it's encouraging to know that it is that fun, like it is that fundamentally basic that, if you provide value, consumers will share their location and data with you. So, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a great move for Snap. I think over the last couple of years they've really started to focus on opening up location to developers. The maps, the filters and so on. And that sort of local lenses piece that you talked about. So I'm excited about this. I think it speaks, to the whole social media industry platform side of things, and the need to sort of unlock the power of location data. And so obviously they recognize that they're bringing in some really strong technical expertise in the space with these two guys. It's funny, like the heritage that you refer to. Like I remember, from an LBMA point of view, one of our earliest members of the LBMA back in the days was, the MapQuest side of things, right? Like before they sort of became part of AOL and Verizon and all of that. So yeah, I can remember one of our retail local conferences. I'm sure you were there. We had Elise Neal speak at that, and just super amazing, powerful voice. And I believe she's still at Verizon now, in the sort of location space. So, it's important to kind of draw on that kind of expertise and that heritage. And I'm glad that Snap sees that. And I think the other thing that I found really interesting about this is, when you dig into the history of these guys, like the StreetCred guys, like, they were looking to build this sort of platform that opened up location data sort of and decentralized it, is how they describe it, in a blockchain-based marketplace that would reward people for helping collect the data. And it reminded me of another company very similar from many years ago that I was loosely involved with here in Toronto, called Locationary. And they sort of had a similar sort of, let's collect high quality location data, get the consumer public to participate in that with sort of a gamified rewards type of system for verifying the accuracy of the data. It wasn't on blockchain at the time, but very similar. And they ended up selling that company to Apple and became part of the Apple Maps and Apple Location side of things. So I see a similar path here in terms of what Snap's doing with StreetCred. So very, very cool. All right, on to our second story for this week. So there's a company here in the US based in Orlando called Refinery Lab, and they have partnered with a longtime LBMA member company called Mobilosoft. So Mobilosoft is a well-known player in Europe. They are based in Brussels. They actually helped us launch the LBMA in the Brussels, open the Brussels chapter of the LBMA some years ago. And these two have teamed up to bring the Mobilosoft platform to the US for the first time. And so it's basically a software as a service platform that helps sort of manage things like local listings and operating hours and your Google Maps profile and your Facebook profile and things like that for small medium businesses in particular, sort of going after that local search optimization. And local listing type of play. Now, obviously, in the U.S. market, there's a lot of competition in this space. You've got Rio SEO and DevHub and Uberall and all these players that are around, Yext and so on, and like obviously all these guys are part of the LBMA community, and I think it's there's still room for growth in this. It's still a huge market, and I think COVID in particular has really, shone a light upon the importance of knowing what businesses are open, what businesses are no longer there, even what the hours are of those businesses. Are they allowed to be open? Are they not allowed to be open? Like all these things, right? That are so relevant when you're trying to find as a consumer a place to go get what you need. And the rules are constantly changing in COVID, right? Especially here. And so I think having high quality, accurate data and being able to provide a platform to these business owners to be found and to do it at a very low cost type of scenario, which is kind of what this is all about. Is really interesting. So, it's one of those where there's a lot of competition in the space, but I think that, Mobilosoft has been around for a long time. They've got a very robust, very well defined platform, very successful in Europe. And, I think it can do well here in North America. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said. Definitely, not necessarily a new concept, but what I would love to see more of, just kind of going that extra mile, especially right now, to say, what's in stock, what's not, right? Like, how can they kind of deliver a little bit more, or sort of, I don't know, offer something a little bit different? Because yes, I think that I agree. Local listings are super important. What's available? What are the hours? What are the services? There's lots of changes that are happening all the time. And I think that also just being able to find like what you need in that moment, is also like really, really important. And I still think there's a lot of opportunity there, even more so, for growth. And I think that these types of companies are well positioned to do that as well. So I would love to see, one of them, if it's, Mobilosoft or somebody else, kind of dive into that a little bit more, because I do think there's even more convenience and value to provide to consumers, and business. So that's good. All right. So another announcement is coming from a company called Hypertrack, and they have announced the general availability of their software suite, which is for location-based logistics. So basically, they empower businesses to, automate deliveries, field service, and ride sharing. So think of all of the technology, that companies like Uber and Instacart and all of these delivery services are built on from a foundational level. And a lot of these companies are technology companies at a core who happen to, deliver ride sharing or deliver groceries or food or whatever it may be. And those companies have very deep pockets, meaning that they can heavily invest in great engineers and technology to power that, and stay on top of it. But for smaller companies or companies that are not technology first companies, harder to those types of necessary right now in this day and age, right? Where we need convenience, we need delivery, we need safe purchases. And so what Hypertrack is doing is right now they're already powering more than what they're calling 7 million miles per month for businesses. And so they are offering their technology now, like, it's generally available. So it can be in industries, they mentioned from, oil and gas production to grocery and pharmacy delivery, mass transit, construction services, all of those things. And, their software suite includes things like DIY interfaces, widgets that you don't need to know how to code for. So businesses can kind of just quickly get to market with these types of features in an existing app or, within their existing platform. So they have like API and SDK flexibility, which I think is great. And then some of the other features they had mentioned were things like order management, live tracking, seeing the routes where something is, the estimated time of arrival of, your package or goods, and geofences and geotags, as well as just basic insights. So this company, is based in San Francisco. They're VC backed, but they're pretty small. I was looking at their website and I think there's probably 20 or so on the team. And, I love that they're making these complex systems available for smaller companies to just, build on top of. I think it's a great idea, going back to a lot of the conversations we've had, like what is this pandemic doing from a creativity perspective, and how is it going to position us to be better when we come out of it? And, being able to offer this type of service to all of those mid-sized and large-sized companies that are not, just well positioned to have like these delivery services readily baked in, I think is great. And it makes you feel, I don't know, for me it kind of like touches that like entrepreneurial spirit to say like, oh, I could build something too, because I wouldn't need to have to do all of the extra, like it's already there. I could just take something off the shelf and go from there. If you have a great idea, this might be just what you're looking for. So anyways, I think this is great. It is a small company, but I just love how they're thinking about things. And instead of it being one company based on this, they can power lots of companies.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about this platform. I think it really is about unlocking, the capability and the power of location data and real time tracking and geofencing and tagging and all the things that are available in this platform to, any business that, either they need to, sort of activate delivery pickup services directly for themselves, or for companies that are looking to build services in their local communities, in the cities that they operate in, or so on, and they don't have sort of the tech stack and the team to kind of go out and kind of build the full capability of what we're talking about here. They've maybe got the customer network, maybe they've got the the reach from that point of view, but don't want to make that investment. So, just having a ready to go platform like this that you can plug into with APIs and all of that, I think is really exciting. The other thing that I found very interesting is they've built the integrations to things like Salesforce and QuickBooks and HubSpot. So that is a little bit different too, because you don't see a lot of the sort of location API sort of plug-in solutions that are out there in this space, are really focused on powering the delivery app or powering the retailer's, real-time location of where the product is on its way to you, or pickup, or what have you. But they're not really kind of necessarily going, further up the chain into the CRM systems and into, all of that. So I like that they're kind of thinking about how we bring that together into one suite of tools that companies can leverage. So I'm interested to know kind of how they price this and kind of what it looks like from that point of view. So that's something personally I'm going to follow up with. But yeah, I from a location-based marketing association point of view, I think this is exactly the kinds of new companies, new offerings that we're seeing evolve within our industry, not just here in North America, but throughout our global network. So very, very excited about it. I think it's got a lot of potential. All right, our final story, jumping over to speaking of our global network to the other side of the world now, Singapore, which by the way was the first chapter outside of North America that we ever opened many years ago, was our Singapore chapter. So there's a company over there called IsWhere, which is one word, just those two words smashed together into one. And they've partnered with HUAWEI to launch a new joint platform. And basically, IsWhere is taking their location-based mobile technology and putting it on together with the HUAWEI cloud. And what they're doing is they're sort of linking and enabling retailers, enabling bricks and mortar businesses to publish product advertising and promotions, and then be able to deliver these ads, based on geo data, directly to mobile devices, through the Huawei Cloud platform. So there's a bit of sort of AI component to the Huawei Cloud, so it's sort of like analyzing sort of the real-time location aspect of IsWhere with the ad platform, and kind of sort of mashing those two things up together to then provide recommendations. So based on sort of understanding patterns and behavior and trends, the AI piece of it is sort of crunching that data and then saying, okay, we're recommending this food or this shop or this retailer or this whatever in your area, in your neighborhood, based on your location data. So there's real-time GPS. Merchants can locate customers within a few kilometers of their store and communicate with them 24/7 using the platform. It also has real-time machine translation. So basically, it's translating text from a source to target languages as well, running on Huawei Cloud. So it's all being done on the Huawei Cloud, and sort of leveraging the power of that processing capability to do all that in real time. So that's pretty interesting, I think. And they said that while this is happening in Singapore, they're planning to sort of expand this into other countries as well. Huawei's already working with IsWhere on another project in Thailand. And there are currently 570 million Huawei digital device users that are benefiting from the IsWhere app. So that's a lot of people. So there you go.
Yeah, I find this really interesting. And, I think that as there's this technology shift that's happening right now in the in the advertising ecosystem, and how that, translates to how companies are able to actually leverage different types of data, how are they going to be able to keep that sort of deterministic approach when it comes to that one-to-one matching and understanding what consumers want in that moment. And, without some of the data that's going to be available, some of these systems and kind of recommendation engines are having to get smarter. So very interesting there. And I definitely want to dive in and learn more about what they're doing, because I think that that's, in absence of having precise location data on everybody, or, a unique identifier such as a mobile advertising identifier, with iOS 14 deprecating that, there's a lot of things that are shifting and changing. And so how advertisers are going to stay relevant, and the systems that advertisers use are going to, stay relevant is interesting. So I think that this is a smart move, and I want to dive in more and learn more. So that's all.
There you go. Well, that's it. That's our show for this week. 4 great stories in there. Remember, if you are in India, or know people in India that would be interested in location-based data, location-based marketing, the industry at large, this podcast is now available on the awaz.com podcast platform. So check it out there as well. And thanks to everybody over there on the team who's helped make that happen. We're really excited to be available in India now, and to reach a new audience. For all of our other listeners and watchers out there, thank you for tuning in every week. Thank you for your time. Please reach out if you have story ideas and suggestions. We'd love to hear those. Please give us some likes on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you see this. And we'll be back next week with yet another show. Thanks, everybody, and have a great week. Bye.
Bye.